Alright, I just did a full hive inspection of old number 8 here, and they're still sort of just scenting to get in, and it's a little bit of a confusion situation on the go there. But it's in okay shape. I found some capped brood, and some older capped brood, and some new capped brood, but not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. She's not busting at the seams everywhere. Like, there's not like rows and rows of capped brood. This is also my first full year going through a full winter with colonies in mediums, with the queens laying in mediums instead of deeps. And so I'm used to, reading the laying pattern of a deep frame instead of a medium. And so it's a bit different with a medium, it seems, slightly different. Maybe the queens are a bit different. I don't know, but I mean, it's okay. Right now, what I'm seeing is okay, but it's not. I'm used to seeing just a large, huge brood pattern filling a frame because the frames are large. And now I've got small frames, and it's sort of like, well, the queen does a little bit differently. It's not exactly the same thing. She seems to lay in the medium, and then she has to do more work. She has to huddle over to the next frame or the next super to continue that laying pattern. So I don't know. That's a bit of an adjustment, but not a big deal. But my main problem with this hive and another hive of mine, and I think generally, is I've got moisture getting into the hives. This is the bottom board from the hive, and it was full of wood lice or carpenters and slugs and all kinds of moist critters that love moisture, and it was just a gooey mess of moisture in the corners of the hive. And I think it's coming through. This is another homemade bottom board I got off of somebody, don't know who, and I don't know if that little crack is enough for moisture to get in, but whatever it is. But I've got 2 homemade bottom boards that I've used this winter, and both of the colonies that were on those homemade bottom boards had a lot of moisture, and the moisture really, I think, affects the bee's ability to build up strong in the spring. Because if it's wet, it's just like living in damp. You're just, no matter what you do, there's always a cold dampness in your house, right? And you just can't really, feel warm and healthy under those conditions. And I think that's what happens. I think if there's any kind of moisture in the hive, even if it's in the bottom of the hive where the bees have completely abandoned it, I think it slows them down in the spring. And this is one of the reasons why I like to get my hive inspections as done early as I can in the year. Like, sometimes I get a couple of warm days in April, and I can get them done in April, which is fantastic. And I think I'm going to make a note for myself for next year and the following years that let's get these early hive inspections done, even if the weather isn't perfect for hive inspections, even if it's a bit chilly or a bit windy or whatever it is. Because if there's moisture in the hive that I haven't been able to prevent, that's going to really knock them back. That really does knock the queen back. She just does not get going. I just don't think it's a healthy environment for the bees. And so I'd rather do a complete hive inspection, clean out any mess, any moisture issues right out of the gate, right from the beginning of the year, and then get them off to a good start. Because it's like the end of May now, and I've got at least two colonies that have been affected by moisture in the hive. And this is not moisture that's wicked away by a moisture quilt or ventilation boxes or anything like that. It's moisture that gets in, that you really, gets into the cracks in the supers and things. Like, for instance, this is what I think might be a part of the deal. It might even be this. You can see this super, it's got some defects. And I got these supers from, I won't say exactly who, but a lot of them they don't fit well, and there's cracks, and I think there's that a lot of moisture can get through those holes or those cracks. I do have holes drilled in some of my supers, but I cork them up really good over the winter, and they're pretty tight. Like, I've checked that, and there's no water getting into those. So I don't know if it's these slightly defective bottom boards or if it's the slightly defective supers that I've got, because none of my supers, I got supers from all over the place. Like, over the years, I just slowly built up my colonies and my hives, and so I've gotten my components from different sources, and they're not all exactly the same, built exactly the same to exactly the same measurements and stuff, and so they don't fit perfectly. And that's a problem. I would like to just completely get rid of all of them. Most of them are good, but the bad ones are just kind of ruin it for me. and just start off with brand new, perfectly fitting, tight sealing supers. But anyway, I probably won't be able to do that because I don't have that much money, and I don't know what I'm going to do about this moisture issue. But I have to figure it out before the next winter. Right now it's fine, and once spring and winter kicks in, or summer kicks in, and it's warm and dry, and we got some good weather, it's really not a big deal. But come winter, all this stuff has to be perfect. All these supers have to have a nice tight seal. Look, like this, you can see here. Here's a wood lice or a carpenter coming out of there, right? So there was moisture definitely got into this hive in a bad way. And the bees can fight a lot of things off, but they can't do much about moisture. And these are some of the dead bees, and I gave them a little bit of winter sugar, and these ones actually ate some of it. And some of it's discarded, but I can tell that they ate some of it. They don't have much honey left. That's it. Old number 8. She's okay, not great. Old number 12. Fantastic, off the hook, whatever you want to call it. It's just incredible. Really, some of the best bees I've ever had in my life. I've got another colony in another location that's, oh my God, they're just as good as this colony. It's a fantastic colony. The bees are super gentle, and tons of honey still in the hive. I didn't really need to feed them. They're so good at getting through the winter without even eating their honey that I'm giving consideration to just not harvesting in this fall. Just like leave them alone and do that spring harvest thing, because I was pulling out frames from this hive in another location today, and I could easily harvest that honey. So that might be the way to go, because then I don't have to worry about feeding. As long as I know they got enough honey, then who cares? There was a deep on the bottom of this hive, and now that deep is gone, and I'm getting off the deeps completely. I'm still learning how to read the bees on a medium frame, how the brood pattern works and all that. But I don't know. I mean, this one's going to town, and I can't tell. It kind of looks okay. I just can't really, there's a couple of frames that are solid, full of brood, but then other ones are just sort of all over the place. But so, I don't know. Maybe the queens are adjusting to the mediums too. And this is the last colony left on next to my house here in Flat Rock that I need to inspect. But it's getting late in the day, and I think I could do it because the bees are totally chilled, and it's still pretty warm. But I just don't like doing it late in the day. If something goes wrong, you just don't want the bees all disturbed when they're going to bed and it's dark and they can't, get the heat back in their hive and get things settled before they go to bed. So I'm just gonna leave this one alone for now. Basically, I did the hive inspection. What I did is I basically put most of the brood down in the bottom, and I put honey on the side and made sure the top had drawn comb. So the brood nest is down there. They'll build that up, and the queen has room to lay up there. But I've also condensed it down to 3 mediums, so that they're just working that space in a more concentrated manner. And whereas this one is, she's got 3 mediums, and 2 of them are absolutely packed with brood. And I did a full hive inspection just a little while ago. And I gave that top medium is just full of drawn comb, and these bees they're going to fill this up real fast. I know it. She got a nice dry hive, no insulation, no wrap, no nothing, but just a nice dry hive. They went into winter with a ton of honey, and now they're cooking. They're just smoking, right? So it's pretty satisfying to see how it works, right? And to